All right, let's do a little sound check real quick. See, can you hear me now? Or is this going early? Hashtag pick. If only if it was that easy, right? But I'm just trying to set something up real quick. Go ahead and get started. Bryan, going for 3 months. All right, if you guys hear any type of an echo, definitely let me know. All right. All right, good. Yeah, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. There's different buttons I got to push, and I unclick one of the buttons, but it's just being funky again. All right, so let's go through it today. There's another noise that came through the headset. Don't know what that was. All right, looking at the day overall, you guys can see, obviously today was kind of a back and forth, all over the place kind of move. Um, obviously, the kind of story of the day is oil. I mean, well, I guess I can't say that this is the story of the day, but I wasn't necessarily surprised. They talked about Brexit earlier today. There is an echo. Okay. All right, let's see if there's an echo off of this one. Let me see. Oops. Carl made it. All right, let's see. Yeah, but you know how Ernest is. He's one of those like prima donnas. He's got like the big headset, so he can hear like even little echoes. So, are you guys able to hear it now? Is it clear now? Let me know if it is still clear, and then I will get moving. Clear? Not clear? Can you hear me? Can you not hear me? All right. How about now? See if you guys can hear me now. Heard myself on that one. So you guys should be okay. Good. All right. So that should work. All right. Man, this thing is such a pain. It's like I can mute a mic, mute the sound, but send system sound, send just stream sound. It's all over the place today. I don't know why it wasn't working earlier, but no idea. But anyway, so what I was saying was it was kind of an all over the place day today with Brexit, the deal being struck. Hopefully you guys set alerts. We talked about it last night. Hopefully you got some on that one. It was an 8 strike Nadex move to the downside in less than 3 hours. It was like 2.5 hours. Philly Fed data came in bad, and then crude oil was just like unbelievably off, right? They finally jumped it, and I expected that it was going to be or they're pretty much dead on or just slightly above. I didn't expect that it was going to be 3 times higher in supply. Like, holy crap, right? 9 million. That's just huge, right? I think that's probably the biggest of the year. Oh, there's a 9.9. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so 9.9 was the biggest of the year, and we came in at 9.3. So we were close to the biggest supply that we had the entire year. All right, but yeah, so that was pretty crazy back and forth, right? And then again tonight at 10 p.m. you'll see GDP in China, which isn't actually a real number. It's a number that they just make up and send to us. So again, we'll probably see some news. Excuse me. Ugh. you'll see some New Zealand or Australian data on that one. Obviously moving a bit because obviously they are in that same somewhat region. And again, being two export countries, China buys a lot of their goods. So if China is the growth is slowing or not quite as expected, you should see those two currency pairs, react accordingly to it. Overall, again, with as much stuff that happens, you guys can see that the movement across the board in 24 hours wasn't big, but that's because we saw a lot of things pop and then kind of move back. Euro, for example, right? Euro actually went a couple different places today, but well, we always start with Aussie yen, so let's start with Aussie yen. Aussie yen is only up 41 over the last 24 hours, but where it's at right now at like 74.20ish, it was actually up over 74.20, or I'm sorry, 74.40 area. Okay, so it was actually much higher. So technically, again, it's up 41. It pushed as far as 60 today, and actually pushed up over its ATR. So, you know, definitely, again, we've had some movement, had some things kind of pull back. But overall, the general, consensus is, dollar weakness. Obviously, we can see it across the board. You can see the euro dollar, pound dollar, both up. Again, pound dollar not up tons, but again, we saw that spike and, kind of turn that, and kind of flip back down again. Dollar yen down slightly, really nothing. Dollar Swiss, dollar CAD, both down big. Okay, both those hit their ATR for the day as well. So, again, the dollar CAD, kind of interesting on that one, right? Seeing that thing move around the way that it did. And then obviously the other, the Aussies I talked about, they've already pulled back. And then in dollar yen, obviously up only 30, which is really not a whole lot, but it obviously spiked higher with the Brexit news. And then again, kind of retraced back again from a higher level supply zone. Okay. Let's see. Going into tomorrow, like I don't really, I was kind of debating tonight, doing some type of like a special session or going through the regular chart school, and I was like, all right, I've been saving kind of like the special session for a while, so I'm gonna actually save it a bit longer. Tomorrow doesn't really have a whole lot of news releases, but with everything that happened today, I think we need to kind of go over it and do some adjustments. I know Ryan actually sent me a trade they had set up, and he picked a zone, and it's actually not the zone that I would pick. I would actually go a little bit higher, and I just want to make sure that we discuss that so we're all on the same page about it. Making sure that, again, just because there is a zone doesn't mean we take a zone. There are certain times where we do have to go for the more conservative, and there are other times where we want to go for the, obviously, you can go for the little bit riskier trade. Another thing, too, that I want to make sure we discuss today. So, obviously, as I mentioned yesterday, something as big as Brexit is going to blow through zones. It's just a huge fundamental change that you got to be cautious of. So there were certain trades today, guys, that you did nothing wrong in setting them up. And if you lost money because of, obviously the Brexit deal, it's just because you didn't, necessarily respect the Brexit deal enough. What it could actually do, right? But there's nothing wrong. You did the setup, and again, it's just fine tuning. The setup is fine, right? But something as large as Brexit, because it's never happened before, first time ever, things are going to get funky, right? No strategy works 100% of the time. I guess actually that's not true. The only strategy that works 100% of the time is never taking a trade. You guys won't lose money if you never take a trade, just FYI. Okay, you won't make any money either, right? And eventually inflation will get you, but you won't lose any money, FYI. Okay. With risk comes reward, though. Okay. So, with that being said, let's go through the scanner. All right. Looking at the scanner here, a lot of stuff is in confirmed positions, and confirmed positions are obviously good because the next signal that we're get in the rotation is going to be a setup. Oh, excuse me. I was up super early today. I had to go grab the boys early, so if I have a yawn tonight, I do apologize. I'm trying my best. I'm almost through the jet lag, but it's not quite there yet. The baby tried to, I had to wake her up today, and she slept for 3.5 hours. So we're definitely still on the tired side. All right, but looking at our majors here, let's start off on this left-hand side. All right, let me clear this real quick. There we go. All right, so you guys can see Aussie dollar, euro dollar, both of them sideways up confirmed, right? Basically meaning that we are driving higher. We're looking for a red pullback. So any type of pullback in those pairs, same with the New Zealand dollar, we will look at all those pairs. Any type of pullback, the next signal in the rotation is going to be an uptrend setup, okay? Because we are confirmed. We already are looking at uptrend setup in the pound dollar, although, again, we need to make sure that we watch top side positions on that one, okay? Looking across at dollar CAD, sideways down confirmed. Basically meaning we have driven past the anchor. We're waiting for a pullback. When the pullback comes, we will be getting a downtrend setup. So again, important, right? It's always much more fun when you have this many kind of potential setups going, like Monday or Tuesday. It's not as much fun going into a Friday because again, Friday with no news, there's an EU economic meeting. Besides that, there's really not a whole lot, right? So there's really nothing to really kind of, throw some gas on the fire for lack of a better word. All right. Now looking at the European basket, looking at this kind of sideways piece right here, you guys can see Euro pound, euro dollar, euro yen, sideways up confirmed, meaning it is driving past its anchor. Obviously, great strength, right? And again, confirmed. So we're waiting for some type of a pullback in the euro, some type of a weakness to be able to get this and go long, except when there is a supply zone. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check those things out. Looking at Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand, they're both down confirmed. Okay. Oh, God, I just yawned. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's because I'm talking to, because I wasn't talking before. It's like the oxygen, because I'm not necessarily tired. I think it's the lack of oxygen. I've been sitting in this chair for a while. Sideways down confirmed on 3 different time frames. Okay, so it is definitely driving lower, waiting for some type of a pullback. Unfortunately, if you look at tonight, right? Looking today, there's really not any news that we're going to have for the Aussie or the New Zealand. Okay, there will be, again, like I mentioned before, the Chinese news. Chinese news is at 10. So we'll see that kind of move around and see what type of reaction we can get off of that one. All right. Now look at the pound pairs. It's kind of the exact opposite, obviously, of what we expected with the euros. Those are sideways down confirmed, again, meaning it is pulling back again. A lot of these, again, I posted it this morning. You saw the price pop up into a daily zone. So I'm not necessarily surprised that these are turning around and kind of going to the downside. The one I care about the most, obviously, is the euro pound. And again, with that retracing to the top side, again, kind of see where that one's going to go. Like I said, I think it has more to do with the pound hitting that area of supply more than anything else. All right. Jumping across, looking at the Aussie pairs, you can see that Aussie is pretty much basically all in an uptrend. Okay. We have some strength in the Aussie right now. I think some of this may have to do actually with gold. Based off of what I saw today. And everything is either sideways up or obviously Aussie New Zealand is in an uptrend. So we'll check those out. And again, across the board, sideways up confirmed. So all of them are kind of looking for setups. When you can get 3 setups in a row like that, that's not a bad position to be in because it's looking for something. All right. And then obviously the CAD basket. The CAD basket is kind of all over the place. Couple pre-setups in there. Obviously Aussie CAD, CAD Yen, New Zealand CAD again, which we don't typically look at. But even on the 4 hour, you can see that pound CAD, dollar CAD, and CAD Swiss are all given us kind of similar setup. So again, I think the CAD is in a similar situation where it is at the mercy pretty much of everybody else at this point. I don't think that I would consider it as one of these strong pairs. Unlike the Aussie, which the Aussie is basically up across the board. It's definitely one of the stronger pairs right now. All right. Eat some extreme sour patch. Yeah, that would be good. Although I would never get it back from the baby. If she had one of those, she'd be like all over it. Because I can't have anything without the baby having it, unfortunately. Not that like I force everything that I eat on the baby, but the baby just, it doesn't matter. She'd hear me eating in the other room and be like, yep, I need some of that. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them before. They're called Wonder Bars. They're made by Cadbury. I can only get them in Canada, but they're like so good. It's like my favorite candy bar of all time. The baby's already stolen 3 of them out of my package. They're peanut butter caramel experience. If you like peanut butter, caramel, and chocolate, that's what they're basically made out of. Kind of like a Twix, but without the crispy part. But it's got like a little bit of nuttiness or something like that. I don't know, but they're awesome. They're called Wonder Bars, and it has like a Viking crown. But like I said, I can only get them in Canada, so my in-laws always get them for me when I go up there. But now the baby knows what they are, so she sees them and she comes running to steal them. So too much with it. All right, so with that being said, that's basically the scanner in a nutshell. A lot of stuff that's sideways. And again, during the day, I'd be all over this. Again, at night, I'm not as interested because I'm not going to stay up and manage anything tonight. But look at all the 4 hour almost potential setups in here. Okay, there's a lot of potential setups on the 4 hours that you can kind of scroll through and be like, yep, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. And again, a lot of things that are matching up right now. Okay, so with that being said, let's go over and look at charts. All right, so move this aside, get that out of the way. There we go. All right. So there was a little bit of setup earlier today, basically, off the daily gap. So Aussie Yen is actually one that Ryan took earlier that I was talking about. Okay. And basically, let's see. Ryan was looking at this one on basically the daily, and obviously the candles are a little bit different, but Ryan was using this level of basing right here, okay? The one right below the gap. And again, is there anything wrong with that? Not necessarily. I mean, it spent 3 candles there and then exploded to the downside on it, which is okay, but look at where we're at, right? Okay. On his, you really can't see the gap as much, but you can see a lot of movement around. And again, actually, I think his actually drew the gap. But you guys can see there is a bit of an area of a gap here, right? It dropped down, it came back up, and then almost retested and shot back down again. So, and what you saw today was price drop up on the 4-hour, ran right into that daily gap, and then pull back. Okay. Now, that entire gap area was not huge, and again, we could have refined it a bit, but we're talking about 13 pips, and this moved about 30 in the other direction. Okay, so it wasn't actually a bad little setup off of there. And like I said, I just drew that off of the daily. We could actually, we could refine it slightly down to the actual kind of gap itself. Let me see it. If it's not too far back, I'll try to do it over here real quick. I actually go a little bit higher on that one. There, we could refine the gap just slightly today, and you guys can see there. Talking about, it's still about 12, right? But then you ran 37 in the other direction. So again, 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Still shaking my head that I didn't take the farther level since it was a level on level. Yeah, Ryan, that's going to happen. But you know what? You learned a valuable lesson. You won't make that mistake again. But again, so there was a little bit of a setup situation there. Again, he was just taking a little bit shy and then kind of getting stopped out for break even, which again, it's going to happen. Not stopping out for break even is much better than taking a loss. If you can take your little losses and turn those into break evens, you're great. But it did move 3-to-1 risk of reward on that one, so definitely something that you guys could have taken advantage of today. And again, this is Thursday today, right? And that was based off the gap from Sunday. So again, those zones are still pretty valid. Okay. So where we are now, again, we are sitting up inside of right below a daily gap. Okay, I am definitely more bearish this position. Okay, most of the scanner are saying uptrend setup, right? Sideways up confirmed, right? Which it is, right? It is sideways up confirmed. There's your action. Get rid of it. There's your anchor. Your anchor is completely engulfed, so it's sideways. It came up across. Obviously, it hits here before it hits. Again, this one's a little bit weird because of the gap. Because it gapped down to here, but if we take that as just the top or a nothing candle, again, any type of pullback in this, right, it's going to be an uptrend setup. So it's nice to know that we're sideways up confirmed, but we're sideways up confirmed into a supply zone. So it's not a setup that you're necessarily going to take. So really at this point, unless you're looking for any type of short to the downside, there's just not much available on this one. Okay. And again, you could potentially take the same trade, the 10, 12 pip risk, if you'd like. And again, I'd probably put my stop loss about the same area. I mean, it ran right into a wick over wick, so it's not bad. Kind of didn't move the start of the move, right? It didn't move all the way back down to here, but you can see there's a wick over wick right here. And you're always going to have to focus on those wick over wicks as far as what your potential first targets are. And again, there's your first target. It came right back into it. Okay. But again, a little 3-to-1. All right. So be cautious with any type of short in this position, or I'm sorry, any type of long in this position. This would be more set up as a short. Okay. Looking at Aussie, New Zealand. All right. So did Aussie, New Zealand do the same exact thing? Yep, basically. Right. I mean, came back up again. Here's where we are right now, 21. And when we go back, 21 is right here. Okay. So we talked about this last night in chart school. Ernest, I believe that you took some out on this one. Again, the one problem that I had with this one is that the zone was quite large. It was kind of hard to shrink it. I mean, the only shrinkage you could have done on this one would have been to take it here, right? But again, you're still quite a level. And again, you still would have gotten your entry. It wouldn't have mattered either way. But again, the thing we liked about this one is this parabolic move up. And again, had you used the parabolic move and the failure to go higher as your risk level, okay, then your risk would have been here, okay, and your risk would have been approximately 11, okay, approximately 11, okay. Had you taken that back down to the start of the move, like we'd mentioned last night, there would have been your trade, and you would have gotten out right here. And again, 11 for 36 is over 3 to 1. Okay, there you go. Taking you to the start of this move, right? But we didn't actually know what the we didn't actually know that this was the failure to go higher yet. We didn't find that out until here, about 1 a.m. my time, about midnight your time. Again, didn't take this one. You could have taken this one for at least 30 seconds. And in fact, it actually went even lower. It's actually down here, bottom zone, with it going boom, 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 boom. You actually haven't gotten a signal to get out of this position yet. So you could technically still be trailing this position if you were in it. But again, there's your 3 to 1, a little bit over 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay, based off of the same, same kind of move, right? Same gap area. All right. Going across also, and again, right now I wouldn't do much with this one. Again, you're pushing back low. Actually, we are in an anchor break situation now to the downside, so it is giving us more of a bearish signal. And again, it is running into a zone that had a nice little pop right here, so we'll see what it's able to do on the 30. A bit of a wick over wick here too that we've seen it, bounce off prior. So it's definitely respected it. As I drew last night, kind of a hard top and bottom. The next time we have really really clean is all the way down here. So we're kind of at the 50% mark right in the middle. I'd probably just let this one roll or look at something else. All right. Again, you will get a spike, a bit of a spike in this one, most likely for the Chinese news also. Okay. So here we go. This guy. So if you guys remember me saying this last night, I didn't like this one as much as the other two. Okay, we had a trigger to kind of look at this position at this gold line, right? And when we look back, you guys can see, what does the gold line do? The gold line is taking us over into kind of this descending wick situation. Now, I do really like this. Let's see, drawing. There we go. Let's get rid of the ATR. I do like this formation a lot. I am a big fan of those formations, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, that's what the alert was for, to let us know, hey, come look at this thing. And it did pretty much go straight up. What I don't like about this is it went up to this line and basically started to form a base, and it's not a Harpo base, and now it's popping forward. So, you guys can see where the alert line was. Look at this. It tagged it and then just kind of rode right along it, right? From about 6 o'clock this morning, has just gone sideways. Hasn't necessarily moved. All the movement was from last night. Probably wait a little bit longer, see what we could get out of this one. Like I said, I love this formation, this kind of solid with the descending wicks, especially on a daily. Really, really, really strong push out of that one as well. And you guys can see, we had that one zone here, and it briefly touched and kind of went right back down again. And then what did it do? It turned back up again. So, um, you know, if any of you took this trade here and used this zone, you had about 11 pip risk, and you were up about 14. So you were already at a 1-to-1, a little bit over a 1-to-1. Maybe you got stopped out on it. Maybe you got out at a break even. I don't necessarily know. It depends on the position you took. But if you remember saying last night, this is the other two. I thought the other two were much better setups than this one. Okay. Wouldn't that also be a level and level? This one right here, with this one up here, it would be, Ryan, but it's not a gap. It just, and if you look at this zone, this is one candle with descending wicks. If you look at the zone up here, it technically came back and it's already left the area. So you would draw the zone here. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Okay. There would be your zone. So technically, you've already pushed down and popped back up again into the zone. I wouldn't necessarily take the entire thing. I wouldn't be going like this. I'd be going like this. Okay, so yes, it is, but I like this one. This formation I like a lot better. Okay, and here you should be able to see it on this one. I'll change this to. See how it came down, came back up, came down, came back up. So I'm actually looking for this level in here. Again, I could have made this smaller. Like I'll take. So in looking at this zone here, that's what we have going on in here. Okay, so I can actually shrink this probably to about half one here. way, here's the two here. Remember we set this up before with the 2 profit targets and it just kind of took a while and we didn't quite hit it. Well, we did eventually. Yep. Looks like a this is all kinds of crap in here. You know, I'm just a big fan of this. I like this type of descending with the green. And like I said, yes, I could shrink it down. But it's different than yours because yours was obviously a clean. This one spent 4 or 5 candles here. Yours was a gap. So for me, that's the difference between the two. Like I said, didn't like the setup as much as the other two. Now looking at pound Aussie. See, obviously we are. Now look at this: up, down, left, right, sideways. Very, very wicky, right? You know? Again, you guys can see this is one of those ones that it's been like a long, basically like forever since it's been up here, sitting inside of this. Okay, so I mean, it turned, it spiked, it went up. I mean, we can draw this and see if we ran it. I mean, today we're talking about, let's see, from the down 378 pips. Back, it was too far. $16, I can only go back to here on the 4 hour. All right. So we ended up bouncing off of something, turning around and kind of coming to the downside, but a lot of wick back and forth. So nothing really to talk about from where we are now. All right, euro pound. So this one all right, so you guys can see. All right, so euro pound. So we had marked off this level last night. You guys can, right? Here was our push down about 5:30. This is where the Brexit news came from, right? We were driving. Ended up hitting pretty low here, finally cleared that area, and then shot all the way back up, grabbed the orders on the 30-minute, and then started the push back down again. So, and a lot of kind of whips all back and forth. It's good, it's bad, it's left, it's right, it's indifferent. At the end of the day, again, we've been focusing on this kind of basically this buying area down here. And what have we done? We've gone high, we've gone low, we've gone high, we've gone low, we've gone high, and we're back at the same spot. So, nothing crazy, right? Yeah. Yeah, actually, here, it's pretty funny. So, here, talk about it right here. Brexit deal, it soars and then slumps, right? So, probably why. Be all kinds of commentary back and forth. Like I said, I think more will be coming from this whole thing. All right, so again, in this pair, we're kind of the same situation that we were last night, right? We're definitely inside of an area. Again, it spiked through the bottom, but then pulled right back again. So I mean, if you look to the left, you guys can see really below that area, there's really not a ton, right? There's not even a lot of wicks at the bottom, really, until we get back down to really kind of into this area, right? You know, this is the first kind of area that we're really kind of saying, hey, listen, there was a pullback here last time and it shot it higher, right? And looking over across, you can see that we've spiked down, but this area is still holding like a magnet, right? This 86 kind of 30-ish to 86 50-ish, this kind of 20 pip range. So again, I would have to say at this point I'm still a bit, bit bearish. Bearish with the pound, but kind of bullish with the euro in this one. But is there really a trend direction? Not really, right? I mean, what do we have here? You could say it's kind of an uptrend, right? I mean, if you ignore these two candles, just say they're both green because obviously this one is green. I mean, really, neither one of them has any type of decision in there. Open and close at the exact same spot. It's obviously green right now, but a couple pips lower, it's going to be red, and then at that point, we're basically sideways down confirmed, right? Looking for some type of a pullback. The only time we actually did have anything clean today where this was a downtrend setup was when we came back up into the zone. Okay. And again, it was the wick that we saw over here on the 4-hour. So when price was high, right, that's the only setup we had for the day. Okay. And that occurred at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay. Had you taken that, your risk level in this one, about 15 pips, and your profit target down to about here. Again, that's the first time we see a red or any type of basing is about 74. So, I mean, it was a, nice little trade had you taken it. Okay. I personally didn't get into this one. 8 o'clock this morning, I was picking up the children, so I couldn't take it. But anywhere you were around, this is again, uptrend setup on the daily, drop of the 4-hour. You see the wick over here with a big kind of push. You go down to kind of refine it. You go through, you see we pierce the top, basically all the way to the top here. But again, 16 pip risk, not too bad. And then the start of the move, right, would have been this base level right here where the green is, the bottom of this kind of the purple area. And that in hours. Okay. 16 for 76. I got 27 off that spot. Yep. So again, wait, you got 27 and it moved 76? Oh. What happened, man? What happened? You got out a bit early. Just a little bit. Could have got more out of that one. But yeah, so good. At least somebody made some money off that one. It's great. I'm seeing 26, 27, 30, a break even. I'm good with those. I swear I'm not rubbing salt in the wound. I just see 27. I was like, oh. But see, I'm not going to beat you up about it too bad, and here's why. Okay, you guys know. I mean, if you took it off of this zone, I know your risk was only 16. If you took 27 out of that, you got almost a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay, I would be more pissed if I saw that you were taking like a 30 pip zone and only took 27 off, because then you had less than a 1-to-1. But I know that you were taking this with probably about 15 or 16 pips risk at most. So even though you got 27 out of it, you still had a positive risk to reward ratio trade. So I can't be too upset, right? Yeah, so yeah, I did. 15. Yeah, so 15, yeah. So you basically almost made it 2-to-1. Not, I mean, that's not uncommon for, day traders and futures do that all the time. So I'm not gonna. Ernest, by the way, Ernest is like, you sucker. You could have had it for 76 and you only got it for 27. What's wrong with you? But I didn't say that. He just typed that to me in a private message. That's it. So I'm being transparent. James can't even type. He's so angry. No, but there's a setup, guys. Again, it's the same setup we talk about all the time. Downtrend setup. Obviously, this first candle here, we didn't know what we were going to do with it. It was like, I don't know, which you could have taken it here, right? On that spike, right? That's the Wednesday at 4:30 in the morning one. So you could have taken it before and when it was clean. And then even if you just ignore that one and keep it, and again, it was red. What did it do? It popped up. So it was definitely a clear downtrend setup. Saw the zone, popped up, hit it, and went lower. So everybody should have got that trade. Okay, it's another one. Looking at your yen. And for those of you that are on this, I think we have a decent amount. About 11. All right. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about with downtrend setups and that kind of stuff, that's what's inside of the FX class. All right. So euro yen. Okay. Euro yen pushed not only all the way up, but then spiked through and then retraced, and it's sitting right inside of that supply zone. So I had you guys got into this one and used this upper here on this daily. Again, not a bad area to take. It actually, if you guys look at it, here is kind of the last peak. Out. I'm gonna zoom this. Top, right? James could get 6. Yeah. So again, this one did push higher. It went to the same exact place that the last one did, just by a few pips, and before it turned, and then pulled back. It literally pulled back to kind of this area that we had kind of marked off, right? Where we wanted the alert set, right? We had an alert. We said, okay, let's go check it out. It literally spiked through and above, and you guys can see that was at the 5:30. That hey, there's a Brexit deal. And again, what did we hear? Brexit surged and then basically slumped, right? Well, how does obviously, the market was very excited about this one as well because the euro surged as well. So the euro and the pound both surged. Again, not, everybody's on board, right? Everybody's happy about that one. Where we are now, again, I would say that at this point, I am still looking at this chart. Like I said, in the other one, I was more bullish because of where it was placed. In this one, I got to say, I'm a bit more bearish, right? Before it was on the lower end of the curve. Now we're at the upper end of the curve. We've seen price kind of pull back from it. Whenever we've seen price up here at this 121.50 area, we've seen it push back down again. So, I mean, we get some if we get some U.S. market strength, if we have a really positive day going into the weekend and it gives the yen some strength, this thing's going down tomorrow. Okay. The one concern I have about this one is it has kind of stabilized itself. It has spent basically 16 hours in the same exact spot with no real news tomorrow at European meetings. I just don't know there's going to be enough of a catalyst before the weekend ends. Okay. And with everything going on with Brexit, I'm definitely not holding a euro pair over the weekend. Just FYI, just in case anybody asks, definitely would not hold this over the weekend. You can try. I can't. I mean, I may be able to pull it up on a chart. If I can see it in a chart, Mac, then I could probably look at it. But I don't. I would have to use. Best somebody to be able to do is like Yahoo Finance for it. But yeah, I'll do it at the end if you want it. If you want to hang out till the end. Man, look at that, guys. He's got an Overwatch League All Access Pass icon. Look at that. Now that's pretty fancy. Mac, I would analyze it for you just because you have that icon. Like that. All right, so that's where we go on this one. Going into the euro dollar. All right, so euro's kind of done the same thing, right? It drove up. It went right to where we said, hey, listen, set your alert right here. If it gets there, come back and look at it. But what did it do on the daily? It did not even make it to the wick over wick or kind of the turning point, right? This zone should have been right here, and we got right up into it, but didn't trigger, right? So same situation. It's pretty high. We obviously had dollar weakness today. That's what drove this forward. Dollar weakness was across. Anything that they say tomorrow, which, again, going into the weekend, trying to be positive. I mean, again, the markets do that, but going into the weekend on a positive note could definitely bring dollar strength back in, especially because the European market will be closed. They won't be able to kind of defend themselves. Again, I'm more bearish this position as well. So, I mean, I definitely think look for some type of opportunity. You guys will see, though, looking at this, again, flat, but we never got any type of confirmation. Even though we spiked up and we got pretty close to the sell zone, we never had any red, green, red, right? There's never any type of confirmation to the downside. So still wouldn't be short the position, but I got to say, if I had to, choose, I'd be, if I had to say which one, I would definitely say that I would definitely be more bearish, without a doubt, in this position. I don't see anything that is, nothing that's driving this forward. Obviously we're in an extended range over the last 2 days straight up. In fact, if you look at the last 2 days, we have about 122 pips with really no pullbacks. Okay. So that's a pretty big move for this one lately. This is what we've had lately. All chops, right? I mean, again, we've had a big move here, but we're talking about that's August, right? This is a lot of chop back and forth to have this much movement straight up, upper end of the range. Okay. I put 12% of my salary in a Roth. Of that 12%, what percent should I dictate to J&J? All right, so I'll go ahead and answer this for you now, Mac, because I used to work in pharmaceuticals. So J&J is one of those ones that's a little bit interesting. For me right now, there was always a joke about it is, when you talk about pharmaceuticals, you say don't do drugs. Okay, because here's why. Now, Johnson & Johnson does have some kind of non-drug related movement, but you got to look at where all of its growth factors are. And one of the things looking about where we are, and again, this is just kind of general kind of knowledge. I'm not allowed to give you stock specific advice. I'm not licensed anymore. I was happy to get rid of my licenses. But just so kind of as a general idea here, one of the things about where we are with going into a recession is that the drivers for something like Johnson & Johnson start to decline. Okay. So typically pharma companies and healthcare companies, they grow when people are likely to spend more money. Okay. If people are not likely to spend as much money, healthcare is one of the first things that they pull back on. Okay. So I know people are like, oh, there's consumer staples. Yeah, but healthcare is one of those things that's like, maybe I'll wait, right? Maybe I'll wait. Another thing too is think about where we are right now with the election cycle. And again, these are just things to think about. Think about where we are with the election cycle. Okay. What are both sides of the aisle talking about with drug pricing? Okay. You got one of them talking about Medicare for all, right? Well, what does Medicare for all mean, right? It means that pharmaceutical companies are going to take an absolutely huge hit, right? Because everything is going to be with government pricing, not private insurance. So, yeah, and the lawsuits. Yeah, but there's always lawsuits. But yeah, J&J will have some lawsuit exposure as well. So, for me, again, think about it. If you have 10% of your, I would say of that amount, be cautious. Typically having your own company stock, if they're going to match you, then use your match. If not, it's always risky when you put too much of the stock for the company that you work in into your retirement. Okay. That's just my take. And again, that's not stock specific for you. I'm just saying in general, be cautious of J&J for those reasons. Be cautious of healthcare. Again, we're kind of going into a recession. We're supposed to be. It looks like we could, potentially be going that way. And then, again, with the election, I mean, a big hot button for a lot of people is healthcare. So be cautious with that. All right, I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that gave you enough information. Like I said, I'm not going to give you a percentage. I can't do that in a public forum, unfortunately, for you. But just be cautious. But the fact that it's in a Roth is awesome. Now, did you know that when you leave J&J that you can trade your Roth? That's the big question. Because what you can do is you can use your Roth account, you can trade it like a day trader, and then pay yourself tax-free with it. Just FYI. A lot of people don't know that, but you can. All right, so let's go to the next piece here. All right, so going over to your Aussie. All right, your Aussie, very similar to the Euro positions we saw before, although this one did spike up into a zone, right? We had this area marked off. We had these dotted lines. This is where our trigger was. We said this is where we saw our price last time turn and shoot back to the downside. Okay. I'm like a fetus in retirements and savings. Oh, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, we finished Euro dollar. Go back to it. Basically, it needs to go a little bit higher, but I'm bearish. I'm not looking to sell it till we get here. If we get a color confirmation to the downside earnings, then I'd be looking to potentially take something. But the big problem is with no news tomorrow for US or for the UK, or I'm sorry, for Euro, I think it's going to basically be a bit flat tomorrow. And I'm not holding it into the weekend. There's too much gap exposure. Like I said, somebody on Saturday could say, you know what? Never mind. Brexit is off, and this sucker is going right back down again. I'm not taking that risk, right? But Euro Aussie actually did have a trade set up, right? We did go back up. We did have this area mark from last night. We had a trigger, popped it up, and it turned and flipped and head back, went right back down to the downside. Okay, so moves kind of already happened. At this point, it's just flat. Been about 16 hours. Well, back to about 6 o'clock this morning. So yeah, about 15 hours we've been stuck in the same area. I have a feeling this one is kind of going to destabilize as well. Chinese news is really crazy tonight and really kind of sends the Aussie all over the place. See this level of basing right down here around the 162.50 area? I believe that this is exactly the same area we're going to kind of run into. I think it's going to kind of come down. I think it's going to start stabilizing in between these kind of two zones here. I don't see too much less again. Like I said, the Chinese news is crazy. Or somebody tomorrow says, you know what? Never mind, Brexit is off. That's about the only two. It's about the two big ones. I read that they're voting on Saturday. Yeah, so again, another reason why I wouldn't. And and again, you could have read that, but that doesn't mean that's actually what's going to happen. Like I said, that's the thing with, I don't know. That's the one thing about the whole Brexit situation is one side says one thing and then the other side says, no, that's not actually what happened, So, I mean, they say that, but there's James. James, we were talking about you a little while ago. It was all bad. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't bad, but I was talking about you. So yeah, this one I think we're to stabilize, not do anything crazy. Looking at the pound yen. Obviously, pound yen was going to have a big day today, right? Bam! What did it do? Oh, geez, it went right into his zone. Look at that, guys. We marked this one off last night, right? Look at that. And again, this one started early, 4:30, 5:30 spiked right into a zone. Again, that's a 4-hour zone, and then it turned and dropped. Okay. Now this one dropped 232 pips. That was in what? 1, 2.5 hours. So even if you include the news candle, right? In 3 hours, it dropped 232 pips. Now we are up on the day from where we were yesterday in the pair, but no, you're not, Mac. There's two of them. It's Zeke and Jade. They like charts. They get really into charts. Problem is they also get really into headphones. So they're in the cage right now. I let them out and they wouldn't make noise, but then Jade would sit on my shoulder and she pecks and tries to eat the headphones. Just you, Mac. Yeah, no, the birds are yeah, they're quite animated. They're big fans of chart school. Yes, they like it. And all my courses, they are in the courses as well. Even when I put them in the other room, the microphone just literally yeah. Zeke is actually the one that you're hearing more. Zeke is a what is he? He's a black cap conure, so he squawks a lot. And then there's a green cheek conure in there also. Jay doesn't make as much noise though. But yeah, Zeke is quite loud. He's the one that you're hearing. He's the scaredy cat though. He doesn't come out of his cage. Jade would literally be on my shoulder trying to eat the headset. So hopefully one of you guys got this one. I'm pretty sure somebody did here. I think James, you were the one that posted this one earlier. That you got a bunch off of this one. Again, and here's the thing. So I wanted to explain this one. So the risk on this one, if you took the actual level off the 4-hour, right? You're talking about 60 pips, which you guys know is a lot. I'm not really into the 60 pip thing there. It's just too much. But had you taken this around a Nadex strike, could you have taken that around a Nadex strike, right? At that level? Sure. You could have taken something way out of the money. Now, I'm gonna pull this up to show you guys. I think my system has permanently banned the beta test from my thing. I don't think it pops up anymore. Maybe I've hit no too many times, or I've sent in so much colorful because I've sent in so much color. By the way, so I actually have two different Live Natics accounts. Has anybody ever forgotten their password and couldn't, for the life of you, remember it? Helpful people with that. I was like, I need help with this one. It's the email is not clicking. Like I was clicking the link and I was getting an error. Like I think something was being blocked, but it wasn't working for me today. And I was like, come on, just wasn't working. All right, so look here, you guys. So they are 20 pips apart. You guys see this? This is on a daily, right? I'm over here. I'm at the 3 p.m. daily. You guys see this? 20 pips apart. Okay. That news move today in 2 hours moved 220. So it moved 11 strike prices to the downside. Could you have gotten a cheap out of the money to the downside? Yeah. Oh, you've gotten that too? The cannot use previous password? Yeah. 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 I'm like, oh. But here's the thing, Ryan, about that. You go to put that password in, you're like, oh, that was my password? Okay, let me put that one in. And it goes, oh no, that was one that, was over 6 months old. It's like damn it, I can't use that one. But anyway, so back to the charts here. Pound yen, right? I don't like 60 pip risk, but I'm absolutely all over taking something like that inside of Nadex. It moved 11 strike prices. Could you have gotten out of the money for that one cheap? Absolutely. Okay. That was a huge move. Okay. So had you not taken it, that's exactly why you should be trading Nadex, right? Huge. Go show 9 strikes away and see it. Huh? I mean, go show 9 strikes away and see it. do you mean 9 strikes? What? Talking about, Ernest? Show 9 strikes away and see. Totally confused. What do you mean? Or James? James, didn't you take one that was that far away? I have to pull it back up again. That's James. Yeah. James, you hit the mason jar early today? I'm just kidding. He's like, yep. I don't know if that yep was for the mason jar thing or not. Maybe. I don't know. I'm confused. But anyway, this is why this is why I like Nadex so much. For something like this, you can obviously take these things, get them out of the money, make some money off of them. Again, out of the money, it's lowering your risk. And again, something like this is a huge retracement back off of that area. He was asleep. He was sleepwalking, put on a trade, and went back to sleep. Yeah, James does that, but he makes money when he does that, so I'm not going to pick on him about it. But again, that's why you need to trade those things. Okay, you could have taken this one, right? And it was almost a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio had you taken this one in spot, but just a little bit risky, right? Again, 60 pips is a lot. That can add up pretty quickly in that position. But again, 4-hour zone is the money zone, right? And it hit the first one, didn't even make it to the second one. Okay, and we talked about that, getting it on those. I was on Boris Watch, called it. Yep, they were saying it. Yep. But all they did is they came to a deal. They didn't actually leave yet. It's like, when are you going to actually leave? That's what I want to know. The real info. All right, so that's what this one. Again, right now it's basically sidelined. I think it's going to wait for some more news. But again, European Summit tomorrow. I don't know if there's going to be any meetings. It's just there's a lot going on with this pair. Again, we're sideways. It's kind of wedged in between the area that it bounced off of and the top sell zone, and we're kind of sitting at the 45% mark. So again, it's not necessarily trending or anything right now. Okay, we'll see what tomorrow brings. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if this actually goes down a bit more if it gets a little bit more weakness in it tomorrow. Okay. Looking at the pound dollar, and I marked this. This is the one I actually put on Instagram for you guys. It's the same setup, right? Price spiked up, price spiked back down again, and same thing. This one moved 8. Okay. Now this one didn't go very, very deep into the range. This one actually went only a little tiny bit, but it was still like a larger area. And again, same area marked off on the 4-hour. Actually, this one was marked from the daily basing level, right? Remember we talked about this? Kind of dropped base for 4 candles and then dropped down. We spent some time on this last night. Didn't spend much time here at all. Again, if you had your alerts set, bam, there you go. And again, dropped down, kind of came back to the 50% mark, went off a bit of a base level right there, and it's just stopped. Okay, so same situation. If you take it from where it spiked back down to, would be the zone here. Again, you still have the zone up top. It's kind of wedged in at that 45-50% mark. Really no trend, so to speak, of right now. Again, if you look at the candle, it's a big wick up, big wick down, and a little body. Okay, and again, those are the candles where I kind of back off from it. I think with as much anticipation and everything that happened this week, I don't think we're going to see too much movement. And as long as nothing, again, if they're doing this vote on Saturday or Sunday, expect somewhat of a gap, and then that gap will kind of give us an indication of where next week is going to be moving around. So I do hope we do get some movement, like enough movement this tomorrow that it does start giving us some type of a trend. Right now, I'd have to say that the trend is flat going into it with one day, right? I mean, if we just gap here up to here, it's like what direction was the trend in? It's like, I don't know, right? So I hope we get enough tomorrow that we do have somewhat of a trend so we can try gap strategies on Sunday on this one, okay? But for right now, I'm probably not going to touch this one tomorrow night or tonight. Looking at pound New Zealand. Now, you guys saw what pound yen did, right? Now, this one obviously is a little bit more wicky, right? But what did it do? It went, again, here's that zone that we drew over here, right? There's your top zone. It did the same exact thing. This one from its peak to trough here, you're talking about 385 pips. So I mean, it drove 106 into the zone. Okay, you're not trading this one in Nadex, unfortunately. But I mean, the zone was and again, remember we tried to refine the zone, we couldn't. It was like a 300 pip zone. I mean, it did flip, but again, way too much risk in this one. I mean, you were 106 pips into the zone. Okay. Now, the first time you did get a confirmation entry was here. Okay. So you did get a confirmation entry finally. And again, this kind of closed at the same exact spot. This is the first clean one right there. You see what happened. Ended up getting busted again. Okay. Now, I mean, it did move. I mean, that area off that confirmation, if you took it just from that level, you're talking about 40 pips and ended up moving 209. So there was a trade that you could have taken in there. I probably would have only held this one into here in the 128 range. I think that would have been a lot safer of a trade. Okay. And again, you're just under the 3-to-1 mark. Okay. So a bit risky on that one, but like I said, I thought there was way too much risk in trading it through this pair. And again, you guys can see ATR. ATR is now at 218 every single day. Okay. And again, spread is 8, so you have to take it all, accordingly. Okay. All right, let's look at New Zealand. Now remember, New Zealand was one of the pairs that was in a setup position. Let's see if it is a valid trader or not. Not really, right? Look, nice move today. It drove up. Again, where we were last night. Again, 19 candle. Go back. 19 candles right here, right in the middle. Okay, it did drive up, right? It hit the zone and then just stayed here. Kind of broke out a little bit, kind of came up, and then again, it's where it started to move to the top side. Again, this was just continued dollar weakness. Not really enough, really movement in this one either way. So again, broke through the top. Okay, it ended up going all the way through and actually going much higher. So we'll see. It is pushing up into a daily zone now. So again, we are actually, this should be here. Okay, we're sitting in a daily zone. Okay, so any type of pullback, right, that would give us the uptrend setup situation. I wouldn't be taking that one. All right, so that was a failed zone on the New Zealand. And we're sitting right now. All right. I would say, like, if this was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, I'd be half tempted to take a short in this position, just because it is a very clean zone on the daily. But again, going into Friday with no news, I just don't know that we can get enough movement tomorrow not to make it worth it. Let's see, what is the risk level on this one? It's 20. I probably wouldn't take not going into Friday. Okay. But again, that's where we are. You can see it. Dollar Swiss, let's see. Look at this. Is just straight down. I mean, again, last 12 hours hasn't done much, but this thing's moving, right? Here's the 19 candle and candle from last night. Okay. Now, I am kind of surprised we didn't actually have more resistance here. You can see that the price did pop up and we had a bit of a basing off of this level, but then it drove pretty cleanly right through it, right? Where we are, see these ascending wicks? This is a nice little area, nice little telltale sign that we do have buyers. That's kind of what we're running into right now, but from all intents and purposes, I mean, again, there is a bit of a racetrack here. We're not really seeing, again, there was a bit of a push up, right? And then we put the descending wicks in. So again, we're forming, there are buyers below, but then we're also forming a really nice supply zone right here. So it's kind of interesting to see how this one's playing out. Let's see on the 3 hour, can we get any more, gleam any more from this? Let's see. Yeah, we ended up hitting this a little bit here, but honestly, that's not even that clean of an area. Number 4 was the one that popped through it. Yeah, I'd probably wait to see if we can get a pullback. What I'd like to see happen on this one is if we can get some candles that bring price, like down, like down here. Okay. If we can get some, oops, not that way. Nope, that's not what I want to do. If we can get candles that can bring price back down again, I'd be interested in taking some type of, looking for this as a pullback area, right? Again, it's where price is right now, so obviously we cannot do that right now. But something along those lines, if price comes lower, okay? If it just turns and kind of just meanders sideways, then not really interested. But if we can get lower down here and say the 98.60 range, about 10, 15 pips below where we are right now, I could potentially be, swayed into taking a short position here. So I like the way that this is forming. I like this basing level. Okay, if this is not the turning point, and again, if that's a turning point, that'd be a really funky. As you guys can see, this is the zone right here. This is what it's basing off of right now. Not even really that clean of a zone. So, let's see. But again, typically Friday, they typically want to end on happiness. So I wouldn't be surprised if dollar strength comes back in. If we do get kind of a white space area below this, right? I mean, if we do get, some type of clearance below here, I'd be looking to use this as would be my risk level to the downside if we can kind of get him. Looking at dollar CAD. So dollar CAD. Switch over to the new platform. Right, so we talked about this last night, getting a break of the zone coming up and retesting. Unfortunately, get one that was kind of sustainable enough, big enough. You guys can see, what did it do? It did come down. Again, we drew this on the 4-hour, obviously, but price did come down. It did come up and retest, and then obviously collapse lower, but there's Zeke, just FYI. Mac, if you're still out there, that was him. So you guys can see, it did come down, it did retest. Again, I drew it over here. I'd like a little bit more clearance than that one. Let's see, how much clearance did we actually get in that? Yeah, I mean, it's about 11 pip clearance on that one. But you guys can see, like I said, concept was valid. I just called it on the 4-hour. That's why it's all stretched out. But it did come down, it did come up and retest, and it did push forward. I guess they're fans of this one. To say this was just faster. But I guess not. It's too close. But you guys can see. You guys get the point. So we did get the clearance. It just wasn't a huge amount of clearance. But again, momentum breakout to the downside. Okay, missed it now. Now, where we are now, we've obviously cleared that level. Next level we're looking for is obviously into this blue area. We're getting pretty close. We are basing before it. So, with any bad dollar news tomorrow, any type of negative sentiment in this one, again, we'll move down a little bit lower. If we can get into that zone, then I'd be looking for some type of a long. That zone is right around 131.20. Not a bad area, 131.20 to 131, kind of that round number. We've had a lot of kind of negative sentiment, or I guess really, I can't even say that it's been CAD strength, but it's really kind of dollar weakness that has kind of pushed us to the downside. Like I said, where we are pushing down, I do feel that this has the ability to kind of get pumped higher. And again, I love going into the weekend. I think they want to keep us positive going into the weekend. And again, that's why I think a little bit of dollar strength is coming back. So if we can get lower, I could potentially be looking for some type of a pair. Obviously, it's trending to the downside. If it pulls back blue or green at all, it will be a downtrend setup, but it's a downtrend setup into a zone on the 4-hour. So I'm really not necessarily interested in looking for shorts at this point because we're obviously at the lower end of the curve. So just be cautious. Looking at dollar yen. Let's see. Where is my other forex factory? There we go. Dollar yen was down 13 for the day. It's been positive in the last hour, not by much, right? But it has been a little bit positive. You guys can see, I mean, we really just didn't really move tons. Okay, we marked off a bunch of areas. You guys remember all this up top. Price never went there. Okay, here's where we are right now at 19. If we look back, here is where we were at 19 last night. So just slightly different on this one. Really no trend, right? You guys can see it. It's basically like that. Okay, so again, Here's where right now it's at the 22, and if we go back to the 22, it is right here. Okay, right at this candle. So slightly lower, 13 pips, not a lot of movement. Top to bottom, you're talking about, I mean, if you got it at the high today and ran it to the low, you're talking about 45 pips total, but where's the trend? I mean, we're not in a trend. We're not really necessarily in a zone. It's just basically going sideways. So, we'll see. Here on this one this is what's tomorrow's gonna be like too. It's just gonna be a little bit back and forth. With no news, I don't think this one has a lot of potential. I think it's gonna be a very, very slow day tomorrow, unfortunately, with this pair. Okay. No, I do not. Especially this weekend. I would definitely not hold any trades this weekend. No, I'm more of a short-term trader. I know how to swing trade. I just don't enjoy it, and I just don't hold trades over the weekend because there's too much gap exposure. All right, so here's this pair today. Ernest, you were looking at this one for a bit. Again, we're still sitting in that same zone. Was assuming we get a bit more movement out of it today, but we really didn't. I think the oil number was just so shocking, and everybody was so focused on Brexit today that this one really didn't get any kind of play. Now, it is showing CAD strength, and that's what we're also seeing in the dollar CAD position. But I think this one, again, has been more of the dollar/yen/US market weakness is what has driven this pair back up again. But we are sitting inside of a daily zone. We are seeing some basing in that daily zone. So we could potentially look on the lower time frame in the 30-minute for a color change to the downside. Okay, with a color change to the downside, again, your risk would be small in this one. This is not a Nadex-based pair, so you're not going to be trading this on that side. It would have to be a spot trade. But like I said, going into a weekend, no CAD news, really no US news tomorrow. It's probably not a position that I'd want to be getting into. I just don't see enough movement. But I do think if this is where we are on Sunday night, there is potential weekly trades, kind of longer term trades that we could be looking at this one to the downside. Because I do think there'll be some strength being brought back in. And again, if we're bad, Canada's bad too. It's just there's no reason for Canadian strength right now. It's just in the box of doom. Yeah, basically. I mean, it's literally it's sucked right in, right? There's not a whole lot that you can do. It is what it is. All right. So with that being said, let me pull up Daily FX here real quick. Mac, are you still out there? Let's go back down. That's what we have today. You guys can see. Basically just went up. And we talked about this last night. Like I said, I don't have the chart saved anymore, but here's where it stopped. Just not that rectangle. See where it pushed to? Now, hard part about this one, again, taking this one to the bottom side, or taking this, here, not really the cleanest. Okay. Again, we were really down here, not really a whole lot you can do with it. Literally, it was kind of a unidirectional trade. Again, we are sitting inside of a daily area, or actually, I guess as an hourly area of supply. Going into tomorrow, this definitely could be something you could potentially be interested in shorting. But as far as what we're for news, obviously it's expired. It's done. It's at its move to the top side. So nothing super great. Forex streamer. You don't find many Forex streamers? Most informative trading stream on Twitch. Keep it. Exactly. Well, I do keep it simple. So I don't necessarily love this one. I mean, like I said, large move today, but I think all eyes were focused on Brexit. Most of the money was put towards Brexit. That's huge, huge supply. And again, what did we jump? We went from 53 to 53.90, so we really only jumped a buck, considering that supply was 3 times higher than what the forecast was. It should have moved a bit more than that. Yeah, so not super worried about that one. And then let's see, is there anything else on there you guys want to see? This is the last one of the week. Let me see. I don't think Mac is there anymore. I think Mac is gone. I was going to try to pull J&J for him real quick, but we'll pull this. So as you can see, dollar, look where the dollar is. Okay. So remember I talked about, some happiness coming in tomorrow. Well, the dollar is kind of pushing into areas where, it gapped down here, you know, well, it drove all the way down and then gapped. It drove all the way down and gapped. So you can see we're getting in an area, this 97.50 range, where we've seen price not only end, but then kind of gap and take off of. So with that being said, if we are sitting inside of a demand area for the dollar, right, again, this is on the daily, right? Dollar index is coming into areas where we had buyers. That would be dollar strength coming back in the market, which drives dollar CAD up. It drives dollar Swiss up. It drives euro dollar down. It drives pound dollar down, right? Those are all different setups that we talked about today. So a lot of different things are lining up based off of where the US dollar or the dollar index is right now. If you're not looking at the Dixie and it's not on your platform, Daily FX is an easy way. Just go to the website, you're able to find it. Okay. Is it telling us how many people are? No. Ooh, Chinese data missed by 0.1. That's interesting. So all the talk tomorrow is going to be about Chinese slowdown and how much that the. All right. So here's James. Get your Twitter ready. Okay. China missed by 0.1, which means Trump tomorrow is going to be waving the spears, saying that our tariffs are putting sticking it to China. That's what he's going to say tomorrow. I'm just going to say it right now. Had a weekly oil buy strike open, but got distracted and didn't put on the trade. The joys of trading from work. Yeah, it's always hard. So again, dollar index right there. As far as let's look across at not that. Let's go to indices. Let's look at US 500. Oh, there we go. There's a chart. Okay, same thing. Where are we right now, guys, on the daily? Okay, are we in an area where we look like we have a lot of buyers, or an area where we have a lot of sellers? Think about it. Where we're on the curve right now. We're on the upper end of the curve. Now, again, going into the weekend, so they may give us a little bit of positive news, but again, we're sitting up in an area where we've seen previous selling come in. Okay, so where do we think it's going to be? Do we think we're going to, all of a sudden jump up 30 pips and close an all-time high? Probably not. Now, without a lot of news tomorrow as well, not a whole lot going on. Like I said, tomorrow all we have is three. Well, I guess we have two FOMC speakers, George and Clarita, and neither one of them I would say is a big one. But would you say forex, stocks, crypto, and have left the same general technical analysis? Chart is yep. What Ryan just said, yeah. A chart is a chart. So if you have buyers and sellers in any market, there's always going to be some type of imbalance between buyers and sellers. It is what it is. It doesn't really matter what chart you're looking at. Now, some markets are obviously more manipulated than other markets, but at the end of the day, think about this, okay? At the end of the day, what's going to move a market? Big money or little money? Okay. If you have a lot of money and you want to drive price down, you have the ability to do it. So the more manipulable a market is, the less it kind of follows traditional thinking. But anytime there are buyers and sellers, there's always going to be imbalances in the world. Typically, the more liquid markets, the markets that are easy to get into and easy to get out of, are going to be the ones that are really harder to manipulate. Like currencies, you really can't manipulate because it's just such a huge market, 6.6 trillion every single day. Very, very hard to manipulate it. Now, central banks can do it with interest rates, but it's still very, very difficult to do, right? Stock market, very, very easy. Crypto, super, super, super easy. And that's why you're seeing kind of crypto failing at this point. And credit and CFDs and ETFs. ETFs are great if you're investing, okay? Options actually on ETFs are one of the best things that I encourage everybody to be able to trade. But the way you analyze a chart is exactly the same. You're just looking at different time frames, okay? Yeah, I say it. I've said it a few times, and the guys have picked up on it. Unfortunately, I think they drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, but that's okay. I give them pip chips, and they like it. But yeah, chart's a chart, a chart. So anyway, guys, think about this for the indices tomorrow. We're definitely obviously approaching the highs. Okay. Again, prices come up here a few times, poked up and went down. We are basing right here. If we get like an overnight where we start to kind of flip to the downside, a little bit of buyers below, but again, I could definitely see us coming down and closing somewhere around the 29.60 range tomorrow, having a little bit of a down day. But obviously, dollar strength would again, that would help push this down and help our euro pair, our dollar CAD pair, our dollar Swiss setups, a bunch of the different setups based off of where the dollar index is. All right. So, with that being said, I don't think Mac is still here, so I'm not going to look in J&J, but it's 10:17. We went a little bit late, but that's cool. We don't have chart school tomorrow night. It's Friday since it's closed. Definitely a fun week. Obviously, I was a bit tired earlier in the week, guys, with being the jet lag. So with that being said, I will see you guys next week. Before I go, I know I haven't given your pip chips. Let's go ahead and do it real quick. So you guys have, I'll give you guys another 30 seconds to get in. Make sure you do exclamation point ticket to get your pip chips tonight for our giveaway. Let's see, who are we missing here? Vanessa's in there. James is there. I see Ernest. I see Will. I see Ryan, Josh, Carl. FX Jones is in. And you just got in as well. Got in my swing at 3,000. Yep. All right. So that being said, I'm going to close this down right now. In 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. Now let me draw my winner. Winner is. Ooh, Ernest again. Man, Ernest can't just win once. Ernest has to win twice. Oh, man. Ernest, did you win last night too? I swear you won last night. Ernest can't just, I'm telling you, man. Ernest is like a Lay's potato chip. He can't have just one. He had a 10% chance of winning in 2 days in a row, man. Imagine that. All right. So I'm gonna pick one more just to see how it works, even though Ernest is the official winner. Just Ernest is the official winner, but if I picked another one, because what better way to create somebody that's salty by picking a second place person that doesn't get any pip chips, right? So ready? Oh, it's Carl. Oh, oh. Now the question is, okay, if I hadn't hit that like second prize to see who was, who was clicking in there, would Carl have won Monday nights? That's what I'm going to leave you guys over the weekend on. All right. Did I rob Carl of his victory on Monday by doing the second one tonight? I just want to see how it worked, just to make sure that it wasn't Ernest a third time. But we'll see how that one goes. All right. So let me give Ernest his pip chips for the night, and we will get out of here. Okay. 25. There we go. We're all set. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will catch you guys next week. And don't forget, October 29th, we have the parabolic retracement webinar for Nadex. So I'm just telling you guys in advance, we won't have chart school that night. Maybe they will let me stream it to this as well, if I can figure out how to do that. Actually, you know what? Maybe I will do that. I don't know. I'll send you guys a link. You guys can register for it, and maybe I will stream it to this channel as well, so everybody can, kind of watch it. Great. Awesome, Vanessa. Wonderful. All right, guys. You take care, and I'll catch you guys next week.